In the past few years, there has been very strong demand in the Indian market for three-row vehicles. Vehicles that can seat 6, 7, 8 people. They're in demand, people like them for their practicality. And the other thing that's happening in the Indian market for the past couple of years has been the success of Kia. Both the Seltos and the Sonet have been runaway hits. In fact, if you want one right now, the waiting times are extraordinarily long. So it would be natural to assume that Kia would compete in the three-row segment. And here it's competing with the Carens. The Carens has been highly anticipated. It's a brand new product. It's something that could offer a lot of answers to Indian customers, but at the same time, it's based on an extended Seltos platform and shares the running gear. Question is the platform sufficient enough to give enough space for 6 people? Is it practical? Is it good to drive? We answer all those questions in our drive today.
You're watching the autoX YouTube channel. You can also get your daily dose of all things automotive on our website, autox.com, and follow us on social media. Don't forget to check out our monthly magazine and make sure to hit the bell and subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
A large part of Kia's success in India can be attributed to their focus on design. Both the Seltos and Sonet are really good looking cars. They look really nice on the road and catch a lot of eyeballs. And I have to say the Carens in that aspect also retains some of the characteristics of both the cars in itself. The strong shoulder line, the way the sweeping headlight and tail light are there, it's very familiar to what we've seen with earlier Kia vehicles. You get 16-inch wheels, dual tone, which are quite nice. In fact, the lesser variants will have 15-inch wheels too, but these 16s are nice. They look quite balanced and they fill up the wheel arches really well. The front design is very unique in the sense that in an era of massive grills and lots of chrome, the Carens is very different. It's actually got a blanked out front panel, which is very unusual, but it looks good. In fact, I also really like the 3-row headlight arrangement. You get the main LED lights, you get the DRLs, you get the fog lamps, and I have to say the front to me looks very familiar to the Kia Soul that's sold in international markets. The design is also dominated by the large glass house of the Carens. You can even see in the 3rd row you have a pretty big window here, and when it comes to the rear you get a very familiar Kia design. You get these big tail lamps, again LEDs, you get the new Kia badging. The Carens is pretty small. And I think overall, given the limited use of chrome, given how balanced the design looks, the Carens is a pretty good looking car. And while it's hard to get MPVs right from a design perspective, I think Kia's designers have done a really good job with the Carens. While Kia's designers have done a really good job with the exterior of the Carens, the interior of course is going to be another challenge. We'll come to the practicality aspect of all 3 rows of seating later. But first, there are some really big hits and misses as far as design is concerned. One, I really like this blue tone of leather and plastic that they've given to the cabin. So actually, this is not a dual tone cabin, it's a tri-tone cabin. You get this blue finished plastic and leather here, you get the beige and you get a black finish. So I think it's an interesting touch. I really like this blue tone. This is introduced on one of the limited edition of the Seltos earlier, and I think it's a really luxurious look. You also get pretty decent comfortable seats. These are ventilated on the front row. You get a cooled wireless charging pad. You get the de rigueur 10.25-inch multimedia system. You also get a fully digital instrument cluster in front of you that displays all the information. You get a climate control system, you get dedicated vents for the 2nd and the 3rd row. But something I really don't appreciate as much as far as design is concerned, the dashboard has a very unique, distinctive look. It's finished in this piano black finish and it's pushed back, which is great when you look at interior space and practicality. But design wise, I'm not sure, you know, this slightly tilting display, maybe it could be done better. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something that I think has been done much better in other Kia vehicles. Of course, there's the practicality aspect, and let me get into the 2nd and the 3rd rows to show you actually how spacious it is and whether I can fit in the 3rd row or sit there for a long time, because that is a major challenge with 3-row body styles in India. Now there are some fantastic design touches in the interiors of the Carens that I should give you more details about. One, I really like the design of the door handles, both at the front and the rear. They're really nicely integrated. It's a unique design that we've not seen in the Indian market before, and I think it really adds to the interior. It gives it a very sophisticated touch. You also get a massive window in the rear row, which actually really makes the feeling of space much more enhanced in the Carens. You of course get these tray tables that you can use to keep your drinks or food. You get a dedicated fan control, USB ports, and what's really smartly integrated is this air purifier. So you can control the air purifier here. It shows you the mode, the display, the filter, the air quality, and I think that's fantastically well done. The other thing that's very practical about the Carens is that you can adjust the second row for leg space, and you can also adjust the backrest to give you a comfortable back angle. But with this second row in my leg space, you can see I have plenty of leg space here, and the backrest angle, can I still fit in the third row and can I still fit in some luggage? Let's find out. Interestingly, on the second row you get electric folding seat on the left side. So you press this button and the seat folds. Of course, with that happening, the ease of access of the third row is quite good actually. I can just step in without a problem. And when it comes to the question of leg room, as you can see, the third row also has the benefit of an adjustable backrest. So I can recline it, and even with the second row in my seating position, I fit here quite comfortably. And you know what's unique? With most cars in India with 3 rows of seating, the floor on the third row is very high, which means your knees are literally up to your ears in most cases. That's not the case with the Carens. In fact, this is a third row where I'll be happy to sit for an hour or two, which is unique. And that is a great hallmark of practicality as far as the Carens is concerned. You can have 6 full-size adults seated. You even get dedicated drink holders here, your own USB-C port, your own vents. And I think it's a really well thought out design as far as practicality is concerned. And final question about practicality, boot space when all 3 rows are being used. Let's find out if there's any left. Given the Carens' size, which is about 4.6 odd meters, I would have thought there would be no space left as far as boot space is concerned when you use all 3 rows. But it's actually not bad. You can fit in a couple of large soft bags here. You also have a small storage compartment which has your toolkit, and you can store a few things. The spare, of course, is mounted below and is accessible from under the bumper. And I think as far as practicality is concerned, the packaging is concerned, the Kia engineers have done a fantastic job with the Carens. Of course, driving appeal has been something that has gone very well with Kia products. Both the Sonet and the Seltos are fantastic to drive. So I have high expectations on the Carens. It's based on the same platform as the Seltos, albeit it's elongated, and it offers the same engine gearbox combination. So you get a 1.4 turbo petrol, you get a 1.5 naturally aspirated petrol, you also get a 1.5 diesel. Interestingly, the 1.5 naturally aspirated petrol is only offered with a manual transmission, whereas the 1.4 turbo petrol, 1.5 diesel come with manual and automatic transmissions both. So from that aspect, we are familiar with the engines. What we are driving right now is the 138 bhp 1.4 turbo, and we also have the 1.5 diesel. That 250 Nm is really good for driving. And with the Carens, you can instantly feel that it's a very resolved chassis that you're driving. Engines are, the NVH levels are very controlled, the power delivery is smooth, the automatic transmissions work very well. You also get paddle shifters on the petrol automatic, and the ride quality is also quite sorted. I think the suspension is slightly on the stiffer side of things, but it's not something that will break your back. In fact, it will deal with our bad roads quite easily. The 16-inch wheel size really helps here because the big sidewalls ensure that the ride comfort within the cabin is really good. The steering also gives you a decent amount of feedback, but when you throw the car around, and the Carens is not really a car you would like to throw around or drive very enthusiastically, it does have a decent amount of body roll. So while it might not be as good to drive as the Seltos, I think given its size, its practicality, the Carens does offer a very good compromise as far as the driving experience is concerned. Some of the touches inside the cabin are really good. Like I said earlier, I really like the tritone cabin. The blue detailing really lifts up and makes it feel quite luxurious. The digital instrument cluster is quite nice. Some of the detailing on the multimedia cluster, like these old valve radio, or rather the tube amp style display for the radio channels, that's fantastic. It's a detail I didn't think most car makers would think about, but I think it's really well integrated, it's unique, it's very legible, and it makes the interior feel more appealing. Of course, one of the major distinguishing factors of the Carens is going to be its safety equipment. All variants of the Carens will come with 6 airbags as standard, which is unheard of in the Indian market. It will also come with all-wheel disc brakes as standard and a host of active and passive safety features. And I think that's a really good move by Kia, because one, it highlights road safety in India, two, it provides a fantastically safe car no matter what variant of the Carens you buy. Like I've discussed already, the practicality is really good, and given that the fact that it's quite good to drive, the ride quality is quite balanced. It offers a variety of petrol and diesel engines with manual and automatic transmissions. The Carens is truly a very well sorted package. In fact, I would have to say it exceeds the expectations I had from the Carens, especially when it comes to practicality. Amount of space for 6 people in this compact chassis means that the packaging has been done very well by Kia engineers. Now, one remaining aspect of the Carens, of course, is the price, which will be announced in February, and that's going to be interesting. But as long as Kia doesn't overprice the Carens, I think if you're looking for a practical 3-row SUV that you can drive every day, you have an option of petrol and diesel engines, and it looks quite good. The Carens is going to be a very strong contender in the segment, and if the value for money aspect goes off well, it could be another sure shot hit for Kia in India.